Hello there, people of the interwebs. Welcome to my channel, where you can expect art talks and process videos. In this video, I will talk about my experience completing artist Monex's 100 Portrait Challenge with Procreate class. I will also share with you the skills that stood out to me the most when it comes to illustrating expressive eyes. Quick disclaimer, this video is not sponsored by any of the platforms mentioned or in any partnerships. I will also not be showing every mission from the course. Links to the course and artist Monex's socials will be linked below. Now that is out of the way, you might want to grab a sketch pad or tablet to take sketch notes. So let's dive into the world of Monex, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future episodes. To start, I found this class when I was browsing on Class 101. Class 101 is a platform where most of the artists are Korean. As a Webtoon fan myself, I had been looking for a course that could ease me into that kind of style, but I had not found one that I found as beginner-friendly as this one. So I really did enjoy following along to Monex's explanations. Monex really makes a good job in preparing you to create a sketch that will be convenient to you. Personally, I found it very useful and time-saving to start off on a sketch pad. Also because this sketch would be later transferred onto the tablet so that we could start our outline sketches. The very first thing that stood out to me when he was teaching was think about drawing in 3D. You cannot draw an eye if you are not drawing around a sphere, because you need to hold on the structure of said eye for it to look realistic. So when you're starting off your sketch, remember to draw into the paper, create your own three-dimensional form. Second of all, you want to be confident in your line making. Remember, a sketch is to let loose and trial and error. It's not going to be perfect from the start. Also, when we start the coloring process, you will see that much of the cleaning up and shaping will be done through the very same coloring and shading. After choosing a midtone of your choice, you will notice that darker values will be placed strategically where shadows are casted around the eye and its skin. Notice that the darker values are not too far off from your original midtone. The darkest value you choose will help you shade the areas of the eyebrow and eye border, making the colors appear natural. A valuable shading tip I picked up from the course was to use blue where your darkest values are. This gives shadow a cooler feeling. It could also be a stylistic choice, but I found it quite useful. Remember when I said to think 3D? As you blend the colors around the eye's folds, remember to not lose the form you worked so hard on creating at the start. Here you can see how I adjust the opacity of the sketch from time to time to help me see where the shadows are more dramatic around the eye. It's good to use your layer tools wisely. I'm a little shy to admit that this is the first time I attempted to draw eyelashes this way. In the past, I've always been afraid to draw them because they always end up looking like bug legs. The tip Monex gave us was to make the starting of the lashes darker to add dimension as they extend from your waterline. For a first time, I didn't think they were too bad. After you are satisfied with the blendable areas, it's time to add subtle lines to create outlines that define the eye's three-dimensional forms. This part is crucial to Monex's semi-realistic style, for it lets the illustration keep some flat properties of Webtoon art. When it comes to the eyebrow, I do feel that I was more successful in the next eye coming up, but the trick was to keep the beginning and the end of the eyebrow strokes at a lighter value. You need to make sure that the middle of the brow is what remains the darkest. To complete this surprised expression eye, Monex advises to push in the sharp areas you might want to soften. Lastly, adding white strategically to the eye and its folds will complete the illustration. The trick is to not overdo it. You want to place white in areas that light would be the strongest. He does not add white to his lashes, but I took the creative liberty to do so. I wanted the expression to look even more dramatic. That completes the surprised expression. What did you think? The next coloring method you will see for the angry expression is a simplified version of what we just finished. You will also notice that this way of coloring lends itself better to a comic or webtoon style. Just like in the first expression, you need to choose your midtone and two darker values that do not stray far from your midtone to maintain the painting's color harmony. Notice that this time we are keeping our color palette simple. the darkest value from the eyebrow is also used where the folds of the eye cast shadows. Now we are adding red to color in the pupil and other areas of the eye that will allow the colors to blend nicely. Before blending, we add darker values to the pupil for greater contrast and dimension. Now we can blend. Don't forget about the tip we talked about earlier. Just as we drew in 3D, we have to now blend without losing the forms we worked so hard on. Blend until transitions and texture are smooth. Once you have smoothened out the texture and blended the colors gradually, we can think about how highlights will be placed. I only placed a new area of highlight at the bottom eyelid since I felt that the upper was okay for now. This time around, I felt more confident about creating the lashes. Applying Monex's tip here helps a lot to give the lashes dimension. You need to darken the areas where the lashes begin from the waterline. Now that is finished, we outline the eye to match the intensity of the lashes. This gave our expression a dramatic but attractive cat eye. We fill the entire outline in and continue to outline the other folds near the eyelid. Now our drawing is looking more unified. We can't forget about the lower lashes, of course. Once again, you can practice the advice from before. Start the lashes dark or you can also go back and go over the start of the lash if that is more comfortable for you. Here I went back and outlined areas from the lower lash line that I felt would help to create the illusion of shadow underneath. Since we are done with our blending, we can start applying outlines to create separations of tear duct, waterline, and other folds. Compared to how our shading and blending on this painting started, we can see that these outlines give our drawing a style appealing to comics or webtoons. I blended the eyebrow's shadow into shape and began to create the first eyebrow strokes. I kept in mind Monex's advice of starting with lighter strokes at the front as well as towards the end of the brow. It is very important that we leave the middle of the brow as the darkest area because realistically this is where more hairs overlap as they change directions. This time I was more confident with how the eyebrow turned out because I used thicker strokes. Also, I didn't overthink the placement of the hairs to keep them natural. Now I began to apply the last details on the eye, starting with the strongest highlights in whites. Make sure that you don't overdo this step. You always want to place this amount of highlight where the light would be the strongest on the skin. Blend the outsides inwards. Since we didn't draw the entire face, this gives it a more smooth transition. Monex doesn't add this, but I went back to fill in the eyelashes to my liking. I also added highlights to them where light would bounce off. And we are done. We completed both approaches to coloring eye expressions. The first one is a little bit more time consuming because of its semi-realistic elements. I find it to be a great middle ground to create illustrations that keep a three-dimensional aspect. The second illustration method was much quicker since we only stuck to about 3 different shades for the skin. It also was much more flat. Personally, I liked how this style can be applied to webtoons. Before ending this episode, there are 3 important things to keep in mind from Monex's class. Number 1, think about drawing in 3D. Because our brains find it easier to work this way when we draw, it will help to create realistic forms. Number 2, keep your forms as you blend. It can be easy to lose our forms when we blend our illustration. Watch out for this so that you don't throw your initial forms out the window. And number 3, start your lashes dark. Although it's a smaller detail that can be overlooked, it makes a big difference for your eye's dimensions. If you enjoyed these approaches to eye expressions, you will definitely benefit from taking Monex's full class on Class 101. As mentioned before, I will leave the links in the description. In the next episode, we will look at how Monex approaches noses and their coloring. Don't forget to like, subscribe, as well as turn on notifications so that you don't miss out. Enjoy drawing! See you then!